Thank you so much. We've been teeing it up all morning long, obviously. Let's get right into it. Joining us for the first time, Airplane Jane. If you know her from the online trading community, her name actually Jane Gallina. So let's bring on Jane and say good morning, see how her day is shaping up so far. There she is. Good morning, Jane. How are you?
Great, thank you. How about yourself, Brendan?
Fantastic. Thank you for doing this. First off, great to have you on the show. Let's start maybe with a little bit of backstory, a little bit of history for everyone who's joining us for the first time who may not be familiar with you. Every trader has their own kind of path that you go along to get you into this world. Yours is a very interesting one. Why don't you tell us what brought you to trading and how you got started in this business?
Yes, definitely. Well, mine is definitely unique in that I am an American that immigrated up to Canada. And I kept my job working in the aviation industry, just doing customer service. So I would have a job as soon as I crossed the border. Then things happened. I'm married, ended up pregnant with my first child. And once I crossed the border, I changed unions and went to the bottom of the list. They decided that they were going to have a reduction in workforce. So I was out the door, laid off at 8 months pregnant. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do for a job? And my husband, very supportive, reminded me about a great trade that I took $25,000 and turned it into $250,000. So then he said, maybe you look back at trading. So I thought, yeah, okay, I can do this, but I want to be more proactive and be trading every single day. So I started under Timothy Sykes' plan and started with penny stocks, which I quickly found was not the best for me. Blew up a $6,000 account with a 6-month-old baby. And I had to wait until she was in daycare to really hone in my skills with paper trading and studying the market diligently. After about 3 more months of paper trading and really studying hard, it all started to click, and pretty much the rest is history.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned a couple of things here. First of all, 25,000 to 250,000. We have to go back and touch on that a little bit. How did that come to be?
That was actual luck. That was when American Airlines was in bankruptcy. And something that happens that usually does not happen is that they gave shares back to the shareholders due to the buyout that was going on and the valuation of the stock and everything equalizing. So it turned out to be a very good investment. I later tried to do that with Republic Airways, and that was not so lucrative. In fact, burned a fair amount of money on that one. But it was definitely a life lesson. That was more of a luck trade than a super skill trade, but really got me into it and excited me.
And as soon as you see, the opportunity, that's how we all get hooked, as they say, right? Let's dig a little bit deeper into some strategy ideas here. Obviously, as you grow as a trader, you start to understand a little bit about your personality. You start to understand a little bit about your risk tolerance. How many different approaches to the market did you have to go through? You mentioned, the penny stocks. That didn't really work out too well for you. How many different approaches or strategies did you have to go through before you found something that clicked, really?
Well, what ended up happening was after the penny stocks, then I also switched rooms. I went into warrior trading and I saw Mike's style of trading large caps, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so much better because you can make the same amount with a higher range throughout the day on a large cap stock versus a penny stock, but your share size is going to be lower, so your risk is lower. If you have a 20-cent move on 100 shares, you're looking at $20. If you have a 20-cent move on 1,000 shares, you're looking at $200. So it's a lot easier to get that large price swing on the large cap stocks and in essence have lower risk. So that was very early on, once I really started studying the market back in November of 2015. And then I slowly started to progress forward. And after I wrote my book and did my first seminar where I had Stephanie Cameron, the stock whisperer, on, I really learned about the dark pool. And that's what I'm trading now and absolutely love it.
We'll leave that for a second. I want to get into the book a little bit. You mentioned it briefly there. Trust, Transition, Trade. Obviously, writing a book of any subject matter is a daunting task to say the least. How was the overall experience, and where did the idea come from?
Well, the idea came from I was looking for a book about female traders that had had success in the market. I was just breaking into the market. I didn't see a lot out there on social media. It was Timothy Sykes, and that was pretty much it at that time. And slowly but surely, more people came out. And I did interviews of female traders from 5 months of experience to 25 years of experience, and really modeled it after market wizards and Momo traders. So I took that example, but I figured, you know what, there's got to be other women that want to get into trading, and I really want to be able to give back to them. So I slowly started interviewing other female traders, and then it sort of all just unfolded.
Great stuff. Over time, trading markets obviously change. Trading strategies obviously changed. Over time, how has your approach to the market changed, and where are you finding success today?
Well, I definitely look every morning at trading the gappers, but like I said, it's really about looking where we have these massive prints from the dark pool, which are going to give us insight, because these are guys that have billions of dollars. And so it's very easy to go ahead and sort of ride on their coattails, whatever direction they're taking it. And once it's a confirmed move, you are pretty confident, because they're going to have millions to billions of dollars in that trade.
Amazing. So are you screening for these dark pool prints, or is it something that you have developed over time, noticing where they're coming off in the pre-market, or how are you looking for these stocks every day?
Watching a block trade indicator, so we can see, and after time and experience, you can see what is an abnormal trade versus one that is fairly regular. We saw massive prints with the gold move. That took about 3 months, 4 months for them to go ahead and finally complete their position. It seems like they are in the process of making another position right now on the gold sector. We see them all the time on the SPY. The biggest one that we saw recently was Apple, where we saw 8 million shares of Apple. I mean, that's not pocket change, right? And we subsequently had a big move after that.
And you're noticing these prints going off specifically in the pre-market on these names?
Sometimes it'll be pre-market. Many times we'll see that happen, especially when it's an earnings day. When we see that happen pre-market, they've just had their announcement or it's coming. Somebody always knows something. And many times this is someone that has gotten the information through the telephone chain. They're placing their trades, and they're doing it in the dark pool because they can get better fills. And if somebody were to see 1 million shares on the bid or ask, that's going to stop the rest of the general public from going long or short, so they hide it in the dark pool. And so we'll see it, 2, 3 days, a week before, 2 weeks before, months before, like I said, with gold. Before the drone attacks, we saw prints all over the oil sector.
Fantastic. Well, I don't want to dive too deeply into strategy or anything like that. Is there any other areas of the market that you're looking at this time? Small caps mainly, or you mentioned some of the large caps that you enjoy trading as well?
Yeah, you know what? Most of these prints are coming off on large cap stocks, but we do see some that come off on smaller stocks. This is a sample of what I do on my watch list every morning. I'm looking at the gappers, which I get from Trade Ideas, and I'm filtering the volume as well. So it's not all super large caps. I mean, I've got ACB on there. I do pay attention as well to the float after learning about the volatility of lower float stocks with Timothy Sykes, as well as the daily short volume. The daily short volume can mean the difference of a short squeeze or not. With Dick's Sporting Goods example, right? So we've got Dick's, let me go ahead and pull that up. We had 71% short float volume, and it was an earnings beat, right? And so right off the bat, that 72% was, minimum 22% was short from yesterday. So they're going to be feeling that pain if they don't have the ability to get out before the market opens and that volume level is lower than the amount that was short. You're going to have to squeeze it open. And then you've got the momentum traders on top of that that are looking to trade it on an earnings day, and that can very easily cause it to rip fairly high.
Okay, I want to get to your public speaking career in a second here, but before we do that, we're going to bring in Neil and Sean and talk about, I'm sure Sean wants to talk about Apple, so I'll just throw it over to them with that.
I think he wants to talk a little bit about Dick's. I mean,
yeah, I actually want to talk about Dick's.
Interesting enough, a lot of the names that you had on your list are things that we're looking at as well. We talked about float and short interest as well, and I know Sean was definitely trading Dick's to the upside today off basically the same reason, right?
Yeah. I thought it was thrown to me. This guy always needs the camera and the mic, but no, just playing around. Jane, thank you for coming on. Look at this trade I had in the morning here. I wish I would have spoken to you before. Look at this. We go long right off the open dicks, 44.50. Cash it out, 45.50. But as you mentioned there, should have noted the shortable float there. That was one. And Best Buy, the same thing. We go long this morning before it blows up. So, yeah, great note there. I'm going to make some notes on my little board here about possibly looking at shortable shares there. Thanks for that little tip.
Jane, I've got a question
and if you
for
go to shortvolumes.com, you can see the short volume very easily, and it's a free site as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, great,
one of
plug.
the segments we do is a preparation in the morning, and we've had a couple of segments on that and things you go through as a routine. We call it our Trader's Edge, little segment we do. But I have a question for you that is common. I always love to ask traders this, and I had an example of this, and I want to, if we can quickly, I don't know if you can see our screens here, but I'm going to talk about Dollar Tree, just because off of the open, I got flushed out wanting to go short, just take a bit of a bath on just a crazy wick to the upside, but we did have a key level at 96. You jump right back in because you believe in a trade. Now, I want to ask you, what is your personal approach, or what have every trader's had to go through this, after you take a big hit and then a trading opportunity comes in literally minutes or seconds later and you got to jump back on the horse? Is there anything in particular that you do in terms of a habit or that you found has worked for you in terms of getting back on the horse and recovering from that loss?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think number one in trading is be nimble, put the ego to the side. And like you said, you got washed out immediately. But if you're able to be nimble, you're able to say, okay, you know what? Maybe that one was going to continue all the way up. It ended up breaking back down. You just got caught on a massive spike where they were probably testing to see how high the sellers are, right? To see how high that selling power is going to go before they can drop it down. So it's a lot of putting the ego to the side and saying, you know what, every trade is a fresh trade. Now with zero commissions, if you get out very close to your entry, you're really not feeling that pain, just go ahead and be prepared either side of the trade and have that plan right off the bat.
I have one more question before we throw back to Brennan or to Sean here. And Sean and I have both been trading for a long time. We both managed on a trading floor, and we both noticed this. I mean, ultimately, we might get one female applicant on the floor for every 20 or 30 male traders. However, the success rate is higher. So as a female trader, is there something that we can be doing to draw more female applicants? Obviously, it's a good success rate. We talk about being a little more disciplined a lot of times. I know you can call it stereotypical, but that's what my experience has definitely shown. You do see a little bit better risk management from female traders. Is there something we can be doing to get more? Have you found a way to encourage them or to get more applicants that way?
I think, well, just as a female, it might be easier for me because they're going to be more sympathetic with my story. But I know definitely when I was working in the brokerage house, I had my Series 7 back in 2000, and it was so male dominated. It was a lot of ego of like, oh my God, I had this amazing trade. It's awesome. You know, it's like, it should be more about, did you trade it properly? Did you follow that risk management properly? Because if you're following those trade setups properly and you put the ego aside, that money is going to come right in your pocket based on your trading setup and your trading strategies and discipline in the trades.
Trust the process. You're perfectly said. Like any experienced trader is going to say. It's been awesome having you on. I mean, I can't say that enough.
Great. Thank you,
guys.
Jane. Yeah, let's throw it back over to Brendan. Thank you for all your insight for all of us and our traders.
Very good. Thanks, guys. Let's jump back into trading strategy a little bit here. Jane, I want to touch on trade length. Typically, you know, the trades that you're putting on, are they specifically intraday, or how long are they lasting typically?
I will do both. I am an intraday trader as well as a swing trader. And like I started an Apple position, what I will do many times is once I see that that move has started for that dark pool activity, I will go ahead and I will put a swing trade on, or I'll start it as an intraday trade. As long as it's not stopping itself out back at my entry, I will go ahead and I will do my scaling. I will back it out. But many times I'm only holding a quarter of a position on that swing trade longer term. And many times that quarter position is going to outperform the other 75%, but also trading options as well as equities.
Very good. I want to get back to the book a little bit, give you a chance to tell everybody, first of all, what can they expect when they're reading it? And obviously, where can we find the book?
Yeah, well, the book is available on Amazon as well as my website, cjandtrade.com. And the book is very motivational, especially for women that want to get into it, to see that it doesn't take one particular background to get into the website, to get into trading. You are able to do it as long as you have that drive and you have the discipline. You know, like any success in any career, if you are disciplined and you want to make it happen, you can do that for yourself. But you have to really want it and have the discipline to learn. Like a surgeon, they're not going to go out the next day and say, hey, I'm going to go perform heart surgery on somebody. No, it takes them years of studying. On average, it tends to be about 9 months for people to have it click when they're really intensely studying.
Or if not longer. I mean, we see here a lot traders coming through the floor who 3 to 5 months, they're just barely scratching the surface. So great point there. Let's talk about public speaking. You've been doing some public speaking events. How did that come to be? And first of all, how do you enjoy it? Standing up in front of massive crowds like that, talking. And what are some of the topics that you discuss?
Well, I did start the Modern Trader Summit 2 years ago. I did it in Orlando and then in Montreal. And I have the Philly background up because I'm going to be doing it in Philadelphia in July. And it's very awesome because I just like the books and speaking with other traders, you can always gain tips from other people, different strategies. There's not one blanket strategy that I can think will work for everybody because everybody has a different risk tolerance, different capital, different time that they can devote to the market. So everybody's strategy is a little bit different. And finding that person that you click with is a great way to learn so that you can, if somebody says, hey, I'm working a 9-to-5 job, but I want to be an intraday trader, that might not be the best fit. But if they go and they learn from a swing trader, that might be better for them. So I really try to bring in speakers that have varied backgrounds and have all had great success and are all very positive and really want to see other people succeed in the trading world. There's a lot of people out there that are very much about, hey, I just want things in my pocket and that's it. One of the whole reasons why I started sharing, going on social media, doing speaking events is because I really want to give back to the community. And that's how the Modern Trader Summit came about.
Fantastic. I mean, I love the positivity, obviously, in this business, especially in the online community. There's a lot of people that may not be so honest when they're selling trading ideas. So it's refreshing to see such a positive take on it. Jane Gallina, Airplane Jane, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I hope you'll come back and speak to us again soon.
Yes, thank you, Brandon. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jane. There you go, guys. Jane Gallina, Airplane Jane, joining us on the show for the first time. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll send it over to the TV with Nikki and get an update on the European close.